President Trump is now dismissing reports that members of his 2016 campaign had regular contact with Russian officials. He maintains that he was not aware of any such communications. He addressed that and his own personal ties with Russia at a news conference Thursday.
I own nothing in Russia. I have no loans in Russia. I don't have any deals in Russia. President Putin called me up very nicely to congratulate me on the win of the election. He then called me up extremely nicely to congratulate me on the inauguration, which was terrific. But so did many other leaders, almost all other leaders from almost all other countries. So that's the extent. Russia is fake news. This is fake news put out by the media. The whole Russian thing, that's a ruse. That's a ruse. And by the way, it would be great if we could get along with Russia, just so you understand that. Now, tomorrow you'll say, Donald Trump wants to get along with Russia. This is terrible. It's not terrible. It's good.
Joining me now from the Politico newsroom in Arlington, Virginia, is Michael Crowley. He's Politico's senior foreign affairs correspondent. His latest piece is titled, "Is Trump Ready for a National Security Crisis?" Thanks so much for being with us, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
So let me begin by asking you, we just heard President Trump calling the reports about Russia fake news and a ruse, pretty forceful rhetoric. What did you make of the president's tone on Russia?
Well, I thought it was strange. It's been strange for more than a year now. I mean, it was clearly defiant and frankly, I think not entirely forthcoming. So he's very defensive about these stories that have come out, not only involving his national security advisor, Michael Flynn, although he's dispatched with Flynn now and sort of popped that bubble, but I think the more serious story is reporting that the U.S. intelligence community has intercepted communications that established that Trump associates during the campaign had regular communications with senior Russian intelligence officials. And although Trump said that to his knowledge that had not happened, he didn't really engage with that charge, how serious it is, what it would mean, whether he wants to know more about it. He essentially said, I've seen them on TV saying that it's not true, and the implication he left was, that's good enough for me, which I found very peculiar.
Also, Michael, the president was critical of both the media and the intelligence community during that news conference, but on the recently leaked information, he acknowledged that, quote, the leaks are absolutely real. He also went on to say, though, the news is fake. What do you make of that juxtaposition?
It's hard to know what to make. I mean, it's sort of a contradiction right there. The news stories are based on the leaks. These stories are saying this is what the intelligence community has found out, and this is what they are telling us. So if the leaks are real, then the news is real. I mean, it's as simple as that. And it's just, you know, how do you grapple with something like that? But I think in a weird way, it's Trump admitting that this is true. But then, you know, in the next breath, he's saying, as far as I know, there weren't these communications, and I've seen people denying it. It just doesn't make sense, unfortunately. It's
been interesting, though, Michael, to watch the rhetoric change a little bit, right? There's been more sort of tough talk, some might say, when it comes to Russia versus before, when the election was going on, certainly, and there were more sort of effusive words of almost praise for Vladimir Putin, some might argue. But is there a sense you think that the president is right now facing political pressure to stand up to Vladimir Putin, and perhaps that might escalate tensions between the U.S. and Russia?
There's no question. I mean, there was virtually nothing negative about Russia that came out of Trump's mouth or the mouths of people in his campaign up until the election. After the election became clear how deeply Russia intervened, I think the Trump camp felt the need to start sending some more tougher signals toward Russia, to signal, you know, we're not in Putin's pocket, there wasn't some arrangement where we're going to pay him back. You still don't hear that coming out of Trump's mouth per se. I mean, I have yet to hear Trump utter what I would consider a critical word about Vladimir Putin, which I think is extremely unusual, almost unique in American politics. But what you can start to see now is the possibility that we're not going to have this new relationship that Trump talked about, partly because I think of the political pressure and the concerns on the part, at least of Trump's advisors, if not Trump himself, that it would look strange to be doing deals with Putin in the middle of all these allegations. And the problem is, if we start to get back to a confrontational posture, you can see tensions escalate quickly. And in both Trump and Putin, you have two very proud men who like to assert their egos, who like to be strong, two alpha males who are going to be in a room together, and there might not be space for the two of them if they're not getting along as friends. And if tensions escalate, that could be very dangerous because they're already at a very high level. And I don't have to tell you, both countries have enormous nuclear arsenals, so the stakes are as high as they could be.
Yeah. Well, just short of a month into his presidency, there are still a number of vacancies in the Trump administration. And now that someone as high profile as Michael Flynn has exited, and you write about this in your latest piece, is there concern that the White House is not prepared to tackle an international crisis?
Yeah, absolutely. We really have not seen an efficient White House so far, despite Trump saying today, and I think, frankly, provoking some surprised laughter. It's a finely tuned machine. There's no evidence that that's the case. The White House is in real disarray. A lot of jobs unfilled, both at the White House, the State Department, senior jobs at the Pentagon and the Department of Homeland Security. And I think that just based on the evidence we've seen so far, they have a little trouble shooting straight. And if they are confronted with an enormous crisis, they lack key personnel, and they have not shown that they are able to operate swiftly and efficiently. And I think they're fortunate that thus far they have not had to deal with some major crisis. But we all know the way the world works, the clock is ticking until the next one. It's probably around the corner, and let's hope they get staffed up and get their ducks in a row by the time that happens.
Finally, Michael, a new report from one of your Politico colleagues is adding more intrigue to the Michael Flynn narrative. It says that the Pentagon has no record of Michael Flynn's 2015 trip to Moscow when he dined with Vladimir Putin. And the Washington Post also reports that Flynn denied in an FBI interview that he discussed sanctions with the Russian ambassador. From a political perspective, I wonder, even though Michael Flynn is now out of the White House, is there still the potential for this to continue to hang over the Trump administration?
Yeah, Flynn is out of the White House, and they've sort of gotten that that part of the problem has been pushed out of their immediate area, but the story still feels incomplete. There are still important questions to be answered, including, what were the nature of Flynn's contacts predating the conversations he had with the Russian ambassador that led to him being fired? What kind of contacts was he having prior to that? Is he possibly one of these officials who had repeated contacts with Russian intelligence officials that we've been hearing about through these leaks? That's part of this larger picture of the connections that Trump and his associates seem to have had to Russia that we still don't completely understand, and still raise some very troubling questions. So as long as there are these question marks and things that don't line up with Flynn, people are going to keep asking, and this story is not going to be going away, and it's an important one for sure.
All right, Michael Crowley in the Politico newsroom for us. Michael, thanks.
Thanks for having me.